Hey everyone, this video is for GX270 electric start. I've got a whole thing on how to do it, but I figured first things first, if you're watching this, if you're about to do it, keep this in mind. If you've already started, you probably already know this, but there's a couple things to keep in mind with this that make it kind of either worthwhile or not really worthwhile in my opinion. There is a flywheel right here that comes with the kit. The flywheel has there's a keyway cut for the end of your crankshaft, and there's a pickup like a magnet on the flywheel. The orientation of this magnet determines when your spark is lit on your spark plug there. Like, it determines when the coil picks this up. It is your timing. This is what determines your timing. So what I would strongly suggest to you when you pick up your kit, mine is off Amazon. From what I can tell, they're all made in the same place. The big thing to keep in mind is just the orientation of your keyway to your magnetic pickup. If you take your new one out of the box, pull your timing cover off of your machine that you're going to be doing it, and that keyway and that timing pickup are not in the same orientation to each other. So if you look right here, this one's pointed almost directly above it. On mine, this was like way over here. So this flywheel will not work on my motor. So I had to change where the keyway location was, and that's not a bolt together kit. So if you're just, your average guy in his garage, that's not something that you really want to get into, probably. So I would suggest returning it and finding the right kit, because there's more than one configuration. The other thing too as well to keep in mind is you're probably going to need a hole saw kit if your block doesn't have a hole for a starter. So as long as you're comfortable with drilling holes in the aluminum casting, all of the holes for the location of on the inside of the flywheel, there's a magnetic pickup as well for charging the battery. You're going to need to put a coil inside of there. The holes are there, but they're not tapped. So they come with hardware, but you're going to need a metric tap set. So be aware of that. And the holes for like bolting together the starter box, like the box with the ignition and all that stuff in it, those aren't tapped either. There's no hole for the starter. Yeah, so just be aware. This is not just like a fire it on in an hour kind of operation if your stuff doesn't fit this. If you are replacing an electric start off of a previously electric started machine, disregard this. If you're already into it, you're into it, keep watching. But in my opinion, this is not a worthwhile thing to do unless you have the right pieces and parts. This kit was like 180 Canadian dollars, which is like $7 American. So just get the right one. Don't waste 7 or 8 hours of your life trying to change the keyway location or modify your shaft or modify the flywheel itself. You can't use your old flywheel with the new flywheel pieces without a significant amount of machining and welding, which, power to you if you want to do that. But like I say, $180 kit, send it back, get the right one. Just look through the pictures and find the one that has the magnet in the same space as yours. There's probably not that many options, but I know that I bought the wrong one. So that being said, here's the video. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy.
Hey everyone, so working on Honda GX270. Thinking about doing one of those electric kits, the little flywheel with the starter motor and all that kind of stuff. So just got it up on the workbench here and got our stuff unpacked here. So flywheel with teeth for starter, ignition switch, some bolts, brackets, and a coil I think that sits inside to make a charge, so it charges the battery. It took a little while to get here from China, but saved a few bucks compared to buying one off the shelf or whatever. I actually saved a lot of money. I don't remember how much this was, but it wasn't particularly cheap. It was enough that I was like kind of hesitant for a little while. Didn't do it right away, but it's kind of in an inconvenient location in the back of a welding skid, so you have to hop up there to pull it over a bunch of times sometimes when it's cold, and figured this might make things easier. So I just took the the bolts out of the front of the cover here, and I know that I'm gonna have to change this. So this is gonna have to come off. Looks like you kiboshed this all together, so the ignition switch, so I'll take that out. Okay, 2 Phillips head screws and the cover comes off. I think you can keep the recoil in case your battery's dead or whatever, so we're gonna leave that on there. Looks like there's just one big nut in the middle for the flywheel. Okay, 15/16, the nut and the recoil adapter come off. A plastic shroud piece, I guess for cooling or whatever. And then you might need a puller to get this part off. Take a look at the new one. So it looks like there's some tooling in the front for maybe a specialty tool, and there's a keyway on the bottom. So it is direction, like it is keyed to a certain position. I don't really want to beat on that because that's the crank. So let's go get a puller and try that. There's little like magnets on the sides of the factory flywheel. In the case that this doesn't work out and I need to put this back on, probably try to avoid hitting those. It came off. All right. Threads are intact, shaft's still there. Doesn't look like it hit the coil. So yeah, be aware that that just comes off like a hand grenade. Okay, there's a new one. There's a keyway. So just line those up. Oh, the teeth kind of hit the coil a little bit, so you gotta kind of dive it in there. This might have had like a mud wasp or something living in it. That's just pretty impressive because this thing spins for like 8 hours a day. Okay, so yeah, just line that up there. Spins. It's got some nice tolerances to the pickups on the coil. I'm sure that's probably something you should set with a feeler gauge because it is adjustable. They both look to be less than a credit card, maybe like a sheet of paper. Professionals would probably do something about that. I don't know. I'm not a professional. I'm just gonna try it out here. Okay, so oh yeah, these don't come with instructions, so I'm guessing as I go here. But yeah, just reverse the order again. I believe it was This guy fits into, yep, there you go. Just like that. And then, what did you do again? You went like this? Yeah, you went like this. Plastic trout thingamajigger lines up with holes on this guy. Yeah. And then you line up like that. Big nut. Just gonna put that on there with a couple doogas, and then I'm gonna Google a torque spec for that because I don't want to break that. Yeah. You pretty much just, that's it, I think. So, it's a little cutout here for a starter motor. I don't know if I have to actually finish cutting that out, because that looks kind of crappy. It's like a hole saw job or something. Not really sure what the deal is there, but 2 bolts and two bolts. So I'm assuming this is where the starter goes. I'm not seeing a whole lot of other information. Got a small hole in it to hold a little plastic clip. Just clip out of here. Okay. Probably gonna need to splice into those for the ignition switch later, so leave that alone. We'll do some measuring first before we just start drilling holes in cases, but make sure that the diameter that this sits in is the same as that hole, and that those hole spacings are the same. I'm not opposed to firing a hole in it. It's not really a DIY normal type thing to be drilling holes in engine blocks, but I don't know. Most of you guys probably do it anyways. So, all right, let's measure. The diameter of that is like 1.770, and this is 1.8. This is bigger than that hole. So either you go even bigger. This is getting kind of hackish. Doesn't look like there's anywhere else where these 2 bolt holes would go though. It's very well possible that this is just not meant for this, and I've just bought something off the internet that's junk, but we're gonna try and make it work. Okay, so if we get over the fact that we're gonna have to drill like into the case a little bit, and bolt hole center to center, 2.5 ish. So yeah, 2.5, between 2.5 and 2 9/16. Center to center between, yeah, that's what it's meant for. So there's enough room there that, I mean, we're gonna be putting a lot of stress on that case, but I say let's find a hole saw that's like 2 7/8, or sorry, 1 7/8, maybe even just 2 inches. And we'll make a hole. Another Amazon find. Carbide hole saws. They're not angular cutters. They're not very precise. They chatter a lot. They make a lot of noise. But they're a step above a hole saw. Like they're a step above a bimetal hole saw, step below an angular cutter. Good for this kind of stuff. So the case says it comes with 1 3/4 or 2 inch. So we'll just go straight to 2 inch. There's 1 3/4. There's what? Comes with a 2 1/8 though. 2 inch, brand new, never even used. Okay, so we're gonna drill a hole inside of the cover so that the starter can pass through. Right there. You can tell it looks like a starter input, but this never got machined out or whatever. So we're gonna stick. That's a little big though, eh? I could go 1 3/4 and then just kind of open it up a little after. Let's try that. I'm not sure if this is the way to do this. I have no formal training in this manufacturer's stuff or any of that kind of stuff. I'm just a dude trying to not have a pull start, you know? So, but the beauty of this is you can sit back and watch, and if it was a stupid idea, like that, come on. It's not your air compressor, so that's awesome. You get to just sit back and enjoy the ride. There you go. Still have to do a little bit of cleanup probably around this edge, but I could be convinced that was supposed to be there. It does fit, yeah. You can get her in there. Just right tight to the air compressor, but yeah, you can see it doesn't really like seat all the way in. Still got to go a little bit, so we'll take our die grinder and just open it up a little bit. It's all cleaned up. This is all good. Looks like it's supposed to be like that. It's got reinforcement around the edges here, so that makes me feel good about bolting a starter motor to it. All right, so there you go. 1 3/4 and then grind it up to 1 7/8, somewhere around there. The bolt holes line up, not perfectly, but you can definitely get a bolt in there. Okay, so the stator, or whatever you want to call it, this little coil, it lines up with these 2 bolt holes, or these 2, but the brown wire has to go over here, so I'm going to go on this side. There's already wire holders there, little rubber guys, but it appears as if they didn't tap the holes for the case on this one because it wasn't slated for electric start. Try to identify this thread. It's going to be metric because it's from the China's. And yeah, so there you go. It's M6 1.0. So that's it's the original thread checker. I love this thing. I got it as a Christmas gift from my mom, and it's super helpful. So yeah, M6 1.0. It's aluminum. I know that's been machined to the tap drill size, and I'm confident. And so, yeah, you should do it by hand. You should use a thing by hand. But it's I'm confident that it would work. So yeah. So we'll put this in here. I feel like this shape, I'd like to have it this way so the wire's closer and not as easy to get hit, but I feel like this shape is important to do with the curvature of this and making contact with these little, these guys here. This is what charges the battery as it's running, so it doesn't just kill itself and then you have to jump it every time. So yeah, I'm just gonna feed this little wire in ahead of time so that I'm not ripping it off on startup. Okay, so I'm assuming these longer ones are the right ones. The other ones are bigger diameter for the starter, so I don't think those are it. And then it could be the shorter ones, but I think those are for holding the switch on the side. There we go. It's on there. All right, I think we can put it back together for the second time. I guess we should start tightening up these starter bolts. Probably not too tight yet because we need to mesh it with the gear. So you're looking for 12 millimeter to put this one on. And Does not look like the starter wants to mesh 100% yet. So I'll probably just die grind a little bit more out of it. Looks like when I tighten up those bolts, the outer ring is still a little tight to it. So we'll try and make that not uptight. It's been pretty freely now, so hopefully that's the last time I have to do that. Okay. Okay, so that's out of the way. These are tight, these are tight. Let's put this guy on here and see if it's gonna be a thing. Teeth mesh up on the starter, okay. That's good. Put this stuff on here, and we needed to check the torque on the crank bolt. So we'll figure that out. It doesn't look like it had any kind of thread sealant on it or Loctite or anything from the factory, so been working for a decade. I think it'll be fine without it. So before I go too crazy here, I kind of want to see it move. Like I kind of want to see it do the thing before I totally reassemble it. And I feel like it'll be a lot easier with this loose. So this didn't come with pictures, but I'm assuming those two are going to go together. This is going to be your charging wire. This looks like it interrupts something. This goes to the starter because it's got a spade connector, and there's a spade connector on the back of the starter. That's definitely a ground. And red wire. Probably going to be your power. Figured the wire would be a little bigger than that, to be honest with you. But I'm going to assume that that goes to your power. And this is definitely going to be interrupting probably your oil pressure sensor and your ignition. Looks like these two just kind of skate around and go to the coil to turn the spark plug on and off, so that it won't ignite. So that's crazy. I thought all of these engines had a an oil pressure sensor on them. Anyways, yeah, let's try and just kind of jerry rig this on there for now. Looks like the holes weren't tapped for the engine switch either, so some of those are going to be challenging to get to. The drill, I'll maybe do those by hand. All I'm doing is just working it back and forth until it gets tight, and you know you hit the bottom of the blind hole. There you go. It's really soft aluminum. It's nothing to be afraid of. Decent quality tap helps, but I honestly don't even think this one is. This is probably from some cheap kit. Everything I have is reorganized into boxes and things, so. Okay, so there's that one. I'm not gonna get the metal one, it's just not gonna happen. I'm just not gonna use that screw. 2 is fine in my opinion. I'm not taking the compressor head off to to tap this little guy there. Yeah, that makes me feel confident because there's a male and a female connector there, and there's a male and a female connector here. So you can't really put them backwards. So just for everyone's knowledge, your thing, if you're following along and doing it at home, I just put the yellow to the black wire, and there's a very faded red wire that's going to go to the black wire that's spliced into the yellow wire. So I'm assuming that that's like on off, like it's interrupting the circuit so that it doesn't have spark. That's just a guess. Definitely gonna have to zip tie a bunch of this stuff up. So then I'll probably just set this up here like this. Put the ground or the charging coil to there. This looks like it needs to go to a power. So we'll probably extend this and put this in like a toolbox or something far away so that if you have to jump it, you're not like all up in the guts to try and jump it. You can just hook a booster pack to it from far away. Kind of insult to injury when your shit doesn't start and then you have to deal with it. Then there's a little spade connector on the back side of the plunger on the starter. I'm assuming this is what kicks it out. The red wire might also be a charging wire, and we might have to put power directly to the starter because that wire's not big enough. I think that might be it. Because there's a nut like on the back side of here that's like a pretty decent sized stud, probably like a 1/4 or 5/16 stud. That's more appropriate for the size of wire. So I'll try and hook a booster pack on this, but yeah, so let's just assume that this is a charging wire for now. Like it just trickles back to the battery or whatever. And then we'll throw this one. It's the really short little yellow and green one, and we'll throw that one on a stud or on a bolt to be hypothetically grounded or whatever before we mount it all up. Make sure it works. We still have to tighten that. I'm probably just gonna bump it and see if it's like goes somewhere. Just put a little bit of torque on it so that it doesn't go anywhere when I try and bump it. They really chintz out on the wire line. So if you're watching this ahead of time, get yourself some rolls of wire so that you can make a decent little loom, because there's like literally like no room here. I'm gonna move this ground down to here, but like it's gonna be tight. So obviously nothing will happen now because we don't have any power, but just make sure that nothing is like gonna get chopped up. Put this down here. I'll go get a booster pack. Be right back. Okay, so I hooked up a booster pack. I got a pair of locking pliers stuck on the back of the stud and just clamped my booster pack on there. So we've got everything hooked up that we think is in the right sequence here. I haven't tried this yet, so you know, you might be catching a fire. Anyways, so there's a circuit protector here. Not really sure what that's about. There's a red wire, I'm assuming for his charge. I think it has a piece of heat shrink on it or something, or I don't know. Anyways, I'm trying to get the wires out of the way. Nada. Okay. So, what did we do wrong? The only thing I can think of is that this needs the C power. I doubt that, but. Yep, that's it. So, your charging wire also has the C power. See here. No charging wire. Yeah, okay. So the charging wire has C a little bit of power properly. Not great engagement. Like, it sounds like it's clicking pretty good, but I don't think this is really a fair. I think we're good. I don't think that's fair because I don't really have it grounded or hooked up properly. Cool. We got enough of a confirmation here that stuff's gonna work, so let's put it together properly. All right, so it's gonna be a pretty big pain to try and get that power wire in there for the starter if I go any further than this. So I think I can probably do that without taking the starter back off again. Not that it really makes that much of a difference. Yeah, it doesn't make that much difference. Okay, so we've just got one stud on the back side of this, right there. So I think we'll put power to that. It grounds itself through the body. It's got a block washer, flat washer, and a nut. So I'm gonna go find or make a wire for that. Be right back. Okay, I'm back. I got a little sidetracked. Don't really remember where we were at, but I went and got this power cable off of I save like all my wire and stuff like that just in bins. I think this came from a winch, but it's like the perfect size. So yeah, I put more thought into it, and the welding skid over there, I'm gonna put the battery in the toolbox for now. I think that's, unless it becomes an issue if I don't have enough room, then I'll make a mount for it somewhere else. But the battery's gonna go in the toolbox for now, so it's easy to jump start, stays out of the conditions, and it stays off of this thing. The easier it is to work on. It's really embarrassing when your air compressor doesn't start in front of a customer or something like that. So the easier and faster we can make this. And like I say, I don't use this one very often. It's more the guy that works with me. So I think the easier it is on him too, the more he'll get done, you know, the better his life will be. So that's what we're shooting for. Good lives, good times. Okay, so let's get this plugged back in again. Oh, the other thing I was thinking before I do this is I noticed that this was riding on the starter the entire time. I feel like this should shoot out and then ride, so I might have to put some washers behind this. Let's bench test this. All right, so turn this should pop out. Yeah, so this jumps out and it has a little spring here. So I feel like it shouldn't be engaging like all the time. Also, when you pull this over, you'd be spinning this. Like if you pull this over with a recoil, with the factory recoil, which is probably gonna have to happen every once in a while, you're gonna be turning this too, which I don't like. So I'll probably put some washers on the face of these two to try and get this not to engage fully while it's just sitting there. Yeah, it's catching on them. So we'll put just put one or two flat washers in there. I'll grab some of those. All right, so I stuck 2 flat washers, 2 1/4-inch flat washers, not 1/4-inch thick, but 1/4-inch diameter. Flat washers behind the starter. And it doesn't grab anymore, so that's good. I don't know if it engages properly now, so now we're gonna test that. Nice. Okay, that's better. That's way better. Okay, so for people at home, 2 flat washers behind the starter, much better. So before we put it all the way back together, we want to make sure that we have the ignition working. So I'll probably just throw a spark plug light in there just to make sure that it has spark and that it's something else I'm doing wrong. Okay, yeah, we have spark. So our switch works then, that's good. So now we just gotta figure out why it's not starting right away. Not going well. I'll come back. Okay, so we got some developments on this. This is not a simple thing. This is just I'm gonna probably put a warning in there in the beginning, but this is not simple. This is something that has now become fabrication. So, interesting development. I could not get this to run right after I did a carb at the same time, so I thought maybe there's something wrong with the carb. I pulled both carbs. I could only get it to run like just barely idle. As soon as I moved the throttle blade forward for the governor, it would die, like right away. But I talked with my dad, and my dad's really good at this kind of stuff, and he said to me, he goes, well, spray some ether in it. And so I sprayed some ether in it while it was running, and it would die. And I was like, that's weird. So then we started to think about it. It's the flywheel. The pickups are in the wrong spots. I think I talked about this already once yesterday, but our new plan, and this came off while it was running, when I figured out, or the old one came off while it was running, at like 100 miles an hour and just shot into the garage door, which was terrifying. I don't think I got it on camera, but it was because as soon as it turned on, I was using a drill to start it, and the drill locked up when it turned on, and it loosened the nut, and then it just came off and shot that way, just doing a rolling burnout, and it literally spun against the garage door for like 5 seconds. It's crazy. Okay, so we got our electric start working. That was a crap shoot. That was way worse than it should have been. Taking the flywheel on and off, trying to get the timing right. One of the thread on the end of the crankshaft got messed up. Had to weld that. Not a great time, but it runs and works and everything's good now. It's the early morning right now, and I live, like my apartment is above my shop, so everybody's sleeping right now. So I don't want to start this up and open my door and stuff. I'm gonna run it for an hour outside before I put it back on the truck, just to make sure if it's gonna grenade itself, it can do it in the driveway and not in the back of the truck on a site or something. So yeah, just an overall talk about it. I would say that it's a fairly lengthy process if your flywheels don't match. So my suggestion to you, if you're buying this kit off of Amazon or eBay or Alibaba or whatever, AliExpress, when you take your timing cover off, the little red metal piece here. Take your old flywheel and take your new, or your old flywheel on there, take your new flywheel and make sure that your timing magnet is in the exact same spot reference to your to your keyway, if it tells you where to put it. So if it's not, then just know that it's not a bolt together kit anymore. Now you're either gonna have to modify the shaft, modify this, or take this off, move this, or maybe take the sprocket off that one and put it on this one, and none of those are bolt together operations. All of those require like custom stuff that could easily be messed up. So thankfully I got this one done, but I'm not satisfied with like how that went, like kind of thing. Some other things to keep in mind: the brown wire for your charging coil that goes in behind there. You're gonna have to get creative with how that's routed, because it will get caught up in those teeth very easily. They don't send a power wire, so get yourself a nice long power wire, or just mount yourself up a little battery box here or something, but there's none of that. I moved the charging wire right onto the back of the starter, so it's touching the power wire. This doesn't really fit on an air compressor, so I just have one bolt holding this in there. It's very stout, but just something to keep in mind. It'd be kind of cool to mount this in like a box or something instead of on here on a service truck, so that you could start it from somewhere easy instead of climbing up, but it's not going to work for this setup. But anyways, yeah, just buyer beware. It's not as easy. You have to drill a hole in the timing cover where the thing was. You have to tap all those holes. It's not a bolt-on kit. It's not something that you can just simply throw on there in a few hours on a Sunday, like I thought, kind of thing. So your average Joe is probably not going to be willing to drill a hole in a timing cover and have metric taps, and also the complications of the timing with the cutting the keyway and all that kind of stuff. Like all of it's possible with a file or whatever, but you know, just how much time do you want to spend on this? That's a major point. I'm not sure how much a motor with electric start's worth, but if you value your time at anything. But yeah, I'm also going to record a small video for doing maintenance on these kinds of things. So there was a carburetor. I'm going to show air filter stuff in a minute. So if you are an owner of one of these, or just like watching the videos, keep an eye out. There's going to be a video on just changing carburetor, changing air filters, you know, talking maintenance, that kind of stuff. So yeah, thanks for watching, and have a good day.